Then click Upgrade to double or quadruple your time for a small monthly fee. This gets you expanded time on unlimited tickers throughout the site. Lastly, you can create your own ticker to run your discussion on what is important to you. For a nominal monthly fee, you can collect valuable insights about your customers, fans, and private group members. 12 ticks, you've got 12 seconds uninterrupted. Welcome to 12 ticks, and you've got 12 seconds uninterrupted. In today's world, it seems that nobody wants to hear what you have to say because you're not important, because you're not a politician, because you're not rich. But that's exactly the opposite of what this country stands for. So, now we have to make a change. You see, crippling debt, unprecedented depression, and numerous global problems that only get worse due to greed are not going to go away, especially if we talk about them and, even better, do something about them. Download the app so that you can speak live, so we can hear what you have to say in the mood that you meant to say it in the most relevant time in history. Throw in your 12 ticks. Welcome to 12 Ticks. We are about to embark on an important discussion in this live session. To participate, download the 12 Ticks app from the Google Play Store. Once installed, it's a super short registration on the app. When you open the app, look for the main topic for today, then click that discussion. The app is free to use, and you have 12 seconds to contribute. If you'd like to control more of the conversation, click your profile at the bottom of your screen, then click Upgrade to double or quadruple your time for a small monthly fee. This gets you expanded time on unlimited tickers throughout the site. Lastly, you can create your own ticker to run your discussion on what is important to you. For a nominal monthly fee, you can collect valuable insights about your customers, fans, and private group members. 12 ticks, you've got 12 seconds uninterrupted. Welcome.
We've got a student loan epidemic. It's a big deal.
Is college still worth it?
More than 40% of borrowers aren't making payments.
So what's a student to do?
There are only two people willing to give a 17-year-old a $100,000 loan. One is a loan shark, and the other, well, she kind of works for the government. Her name is Sally Mae. Now think about it, a 17-year-old kid is barely getting their life started.
All right, so they're about to start that, and we are going to start our own discussion here because that's what this is all about. So if you guys have never been to 12 Ticks before, this is your first time here, please go download the app so you can become part of this conversation. Now, today we are talking about the useless university. That might be some inflammatory language to some people. However, I have to tell you that coming from someone who's been through the collegiate system, coming from someone who has worked several jobs and has actually gotten the job after the interview, was it worth it? At least to me. And the answer is, well, no. All right, so really, there is no reason that anybody should be going to college if you want to do anything in this world except something that is extremely skilled, and even then, it's very antiquated. You see, by the time you learn something in college, it's already obsolete in the real world. They're teaching you conjecture, theory, as to what might work in this particular situation. However, when you actually look at this more deeply and you kind of find out what's going on here, you actually start realizing that you're paying money for a piece of paper that doesn't mean anything. Now, I understand some people who are in college, they're actually looking at skills, okay? So they might be looking at some of these things where they think that the skill is far better and that's worth more than the piece of paper that we're actually looking at. However, I have to tell you that, no, what this boils down to, because if you're talking about on a skill level, college is going to give you skills. First of all, it's antiquated. Second of all, everything that you learn in college, you can learn on YouTube. You can learn on Udemy. You can learn on Skillshare. You can learn on free sites around the internet anywhere for free, no cost. Okay, now, even if it does have a cost, like Udemy or Skillshare, $10 a course, $20 a course, $50 a course, sometimes the most, $200. We're talking about students spending $25,000 a year to go through university, and just because they get a dorm room and a fucking lunch card, they think that all of a sudden that makes it worth it to pay this exorbitant amount of money to actually go to a university for the experience. Now, there are many things you can experience on college without going to college. You see, you don't have to go to college and spend all this money. You can visit people who are in college and get the same experience and still go learn the crap on the internet. So why are we so enthralled with university? Well, the first reason here I'm going to give you, and it should be blatantly obvious, but obviously not, because people are still going to college and thinking that it's worth it. Here's the thing. First of all, when you go to college and you're paying all this money for this tuition, the room and board, the books, the experienced professors that are actually the classes that they offer, all offered online, mind you. All right. But when you actually get down to it and you start thinking about university and the worth or the cost of it, I don't think it's worth it at all. Okay. Now, dang it. So I kind of lost my train of thought here. It's going to come back to me, but I can move on to the next one though. Now, when you guys are actually looking at this from an objective standpoint, I understand. Okay. The first reason, and it just came back to me, the first reason is because you have been taught to go to other people to solve your problems for your entire life, okay? That's all this boils down to. Because think about this, from the beginning, when you were born, your parents assimilated you to the world and they told you what to do. So whenever you had a question, you went to your parents. Now they send you off to another set of authoritarian figures called teachers. And teachers run your life. They tell you how to act, how not to act, when to go to the restroom, what the recess bell means, when you're supposed to be back in class, be on time, all of that nice stuff, right? So you now, when you move up, you get different sets of authoritarian figures. So this works its way on up to high school. And then high school is the final one to see if all of your training and stuff is actually efficient, okay? When a teacher tells you to do something, do you do it? Do you conform? Okay. Now, the ultimate test is college, university in some cases. And in university, what you're now set up to do is, now that all of the rules and restrictions are gone, and now you have to do it on your own because nobody's there to tell you to do your homework. Nobody's there to tell you to be on time. Nobody's there to tell you you need to be considerate of your life because this is important. Because all those people are gone, now this is the final exam of the beginning of your life. So now when they send you off to college, can you get to class on time? But you still got a set of authoritarian figures who are actually in college telling you what to do, guiding you. They call them guidance counselors, okay? So you guys now have professors instead of instructors or teachers. You now have professors who are actually a higher degree that are designed to try to get you through this piece here and actually show you what's going on. So that's what we got here, and hopefully people they don't realize that they were born in a hierarchy. So therefore, you don't realize that when other people are telling you what to do, the blunt way of saying that is that other people are running your life, and that is not okay with me. Other people, I can't speak for you. You do what you do, and that's your life, and please feel free to live it, okay? I'm just telling you from a college instructor that it might not be the best thing, okay? Some things you might want to go for if the tuition is nominal, okay? So you're not paying that much money for college. Then go and enjoy the experience, okay? It's not going to break you. If you got a job at McDonald's, you can still pay back the loan. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Easy stuff to understand. However, the worst thing, number two, the worst thing you could ever do as far as trying to begin your life, everyone, is start your life in debt. Do you know that everything that you want to buy into the future requires a credit score? And you have now taken out a loan under you and your parents, who are the co-signers' names, and now you are now responsible for this huge amount of debt. And the average nowadays is $25,000 a year. That means if you go to school for 4 years, that's $100,000 plus interest. Okay. Now, if you pay late, you got fees on top of that, late fees and penalties you incur. Okay, now here's the thing: if you worked a good job, okay, so say for instance, $100,000 in debt. Let's say you make $50,000. You're like, in 2 years, I'm good. No, hold on, Jeremy. All right, the real case of that is if you make $50,000 a year, you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam. That's going to be about 21% in taxes. Okay, so that is actually going to cut you down to 40%. Then, I'm sorry, $40,000, and then you're going to actually have to eat. You're actually going to have to pay to live. You're actually going to have a car, transportation. Money just seems to disappear when you have a girlfriend. So if you got all of this stuff going, or a boyfriend, so if things happen to keep going in this direction, by the time you're done with it, you got a little bit of money, and let's say $5,000. Let's say you're responsible, and that $5,000 goes to your $100,000. 100,000 divided by your 5,000 is 20 years. Okay, so that's assuming that you don't pick up any more debt. That's assuming that you do everything right. That's assuming that nothing happens to you that you can work. That's assuming that you don't get fired for no reason or downsize. And that's assuming that other situations that could come into your life don't suck up your money as they often do. Okay, I mentioned girlfriends earlier. All right, so there you go. So we got other things that are actually important when we're talking about the useless university. Now, why would I say that? It's an inflammatory title. I realize that. However, I have to tell you guys, are there any positive benefits in going to college? All right, now, just like college, all right, people have in their minds that the only education that you can get has to come from a university. All right, we're talking about four-year schools here. So that is not the case, because smaller schools are not important enough to actually be involved in the conversation, because there's not that many of them, and they don't have that big of an effect on the numbers as far as graduates and all that stuff. So I'm leaving them out. I'm only talking about four-year universities here. However, when you actually go to a university and you spend your money, you spend your time in a university, it's not the best use of, because you're getting a skewed view of education. Okay, nobody said that education was relegated between the four walls of a university in a classroom. Who told you that? Okay, you should know by now that you can gain information anywhere. That's just like saying I only can get to God by going to a church that has four walls and a pastor standing in front of me. All right, I could have swore that in the Bible it said that you have your own walk with God. However, students should be treating the university the same way. You can learn computer coding anywhere. Okay, they have several hundred sites on the internet that are free that you can learn to code with. But somehow we feel like we have to go online to these universities who are willing to charge us $50,000 a year for computer coding, and when you can learn it free on your own. Does that make any sense? Okay, let's get to the bigger things. Okay, let's say, for instance, let's take a job in society that actually now requires a university degree, like an accountant. Okay, boring as hell, but an accountant. All right, an accountant is a person who looks after someone's books. If I started a business when I was 18 years old and I learned how to do all this on my own, and by the time I'm 25, I've had 7 years of accounting experience and I know how to do it down to the letter, and I've got it. If I now think that another business besides mine is going to hire an accountant who just came out of college and they learned all the slide rules, and they learned all of the numbers and how to calculate this and that, and they actually know how to save you a little money on your taxes. They just came out of college. I've been working in my business and I know all the tricks of real life business. Who do you think you're going to hire? All right, just say for instance, I don't want to run my business anymore. I just want to be an accountant because I found that's the easier way. Who are you going to hire first? I got 7 years of experience. I know all the tricks of running a business. I know the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and I know everything that might happen to your business before you do. All right, then we have a nice, well-dressed, handsome, or pretty young lady or young man who's willing to come in and be your accountant, fresh out of college, and they're going to tell you about all the theory that they learned in university. Who do you want for your position? You see, it's a no-brainer. You're going to take me because I already know. I got experience. I know the tricks. That's where we're setting people up for failure, because in case you guys didn't know, the education system is woefully behind as far as how learning should be done in the technological age. We're still treating it as if we're in the industrial age, and education has to come from somebody standing in front of you in the classroom. You know that's not true. All right, most of you have learned skills that you've put to use in your life by going to YouTube, going to Vimeo, all right, going to other video sites and learning things. So why would you think that education is relegated to the walls of a university? It's not. So why do we still think that? Well, I don't know. Maybe people think that that's a worthwhile pursuit because of tradition. And that brings us to our next problem, tradition. You see, we think that because it's old, because we've been doing it a long time, that it's the right thing to do. All right. I understand you might have your family traditions, but when tradition is attributed to a healthcare system, when the tradition is attributed to an educational system, it's by definition obsolete, because you're telling me that just because it's aged, that it's good. No, that's for wine. It's not for education. All right. That means it has to be updated, because let's be honest, the information is the same. All right. It doesn't change much over time, especially for something you want to learn. Computer coding might be different. Okay. They come up with different languages, easier ways to do things, new coding subsets. That's all good, well and good. However, if we now attribute that to anything else, it doesn't change that much. When we're talking about physics, okay, you might discover a few new things every decade if it moves slow. It's not going to change that much. The human body, we know most of what's going on here, okay? We still have things to unlock about the brain and all that stuff, but yes, of course, you know mostly about the body, what it does, the hormones, the enzymes, the neurotransmitters. We know all about that good stuff, okay? So that is relevant, okay? However, does it have to be delivered in the same way? Does it have to be anything that's stuck in a classroom? Can we learn, can we deliver it in another way? Because it's not really the material, it's the way that we're teaching it. And that's why students are dropping out in droves. That's why students are getting bored with the traditional education, because they realize that, wait a minute, I know more than my professor about this subject because I studied it on YouTube. It's real. All right. And because a professor or an instructor has a degree and they spent all this time studying, you can't know more than me because I've done this for 20 years. Yes, Mr. Simmons, but you've done the same thing for 20 years and you've never improved your craft. And then all of a sudden some young man comes in and cleans your clock because you refuse to change. That's the size of this. Okay, so I'm not trying to be mean to them. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I just want to see if anybody is paying attention. Most students are bored and fed up with the education system as it exists. And I think that sometimes teachers, instructors, professors are too. It's just the system pays you. And therefore, you don't want to rock the boat. So you got to keep the money coming in. So you settle. You don't change. All right. Or maybe not even that. Maybe just the school won't change. They're still using the same software from 1989 that they think is, oh, we just got the new update. It'll bring us up to 1990. Listen, Janet, it's 2021. We need better. All right. We need faster. We need more intuitive so that people want to use it, not that you force them to use it. Now it seems that free market hasn't quite reached into the university system, has it? Okay, now, the first thing I talked about was debt. Debt is one of those things that is going to just ride your back for the entire life. And remember, you got to have a credit score in order to get anything that you want to buy, especially on credit, unless you plan on paying it for everything in cash. That's not a great way to go, everyone. It's just not. So can we make this situation better? If we can. Well, we can by individuals making their own choice about how they receive education, how they learn, and more importantly, how they express that in the real world to get other people looking and paying attention and say, ooh, they did it like this. Can I do it like that too? Instead of everybody signing up for this. And then all of a sudden, we're now right back in the same classroom where everybody's getting the same mediocre education. I don't know if it makes sense, but to me, no, not at all. All right, so that is it, everybody. You guys have a good one. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get somebody on the app here. Do we have anybody who is in here? Let's go to the ticker right now. All right, as you guys can see right here next to me, I have a ticker. That is me at the top of that ticker up there, and you guys will see you can jump in right now and give your opinion as to how and why you think university is either useless or important. So I want to get your opinion on this. So go ahead and throw, if you have it, download the app. It's the Android store only. It's only for Android users. Apple is giving me a hard time, so still in approval process, but all right, but yes, here we go. So there you go, everybody. If anybody wants to jump in, go ahead and jump in. We'll continue talking here while you guys jump in. If somebody does, you'll see it on the screen here, and then we'll start talking about it. Okay, so now as far as the ramifications of this, are we going to become better by doing the same thing, or do we have to change? Because take a look, we are unwilling to change our lives so the world can get better, so we can improve the pollution in the sky, so we can control global warming, so that technology doesn't go too far to the point where we build Terminators that ultimately kill us. All right, stuff like that. We have to actually be forward thinking, but think what's best for all of us, not just your individual situation. Some people, like me, we recycle religiously. All right, I wash out plastic containers so I can recycle, not reuse, recycle them. All right, but other people, they're going to throw everything in the trash. They're going to increase their carbon footprint. They're going to be throwing out everything under the sun, trash out the windows, because they don't care about anybody else but themselves, and therefore the world suffers for it. If you get enough of those people, it'll just choke up the whole system, and now none of us can live. So that's the problem with all of this junk that's going on in society nowadays as far as that. So if anybody has a comment or question or anything like that, feel free to throw it in the chat. If not, jump into the app here. But we're about to wrap it up here, everybody. So I just want to come on here this Saturday morning and see, do you feel the same way or do you feel differently? If you have an opinion that actually is talking about the benefits or the virtues of a traditional education, then please throw them in the chat. Let me know. But I just have to let you know that I am firmly against, and I don't see the use in the cap and tassel and your fancy robes when it really doesn't get you anything but a job you're going to hate 20 years into the future. And sometimes a bunch of debt that's going to ruin your life. I don't think that's going to happen for everybody, but that's proof it's already happened to enough people. So I'll talk to you guys on the next one. I'll see you Monday, 6 p.m. You guys have a good one. If you got it, download the app. We'll have the conversation another time. Okay, so that's it. I'll see you guys later. Peace.